Wiggle it out. Wiggle it out. I'm not one of those people who's like, where's my coffee? But in my head just now I'm like, where the fuck's my coffee? I'm also not one of those YouTubers with like super cute mugs. Oh, I woke up very early for a lab practical today and I'm just feeling all sorts of ways right now. Hi guys, my name is Lacey of Spooky Lips and Fat Hips and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am so excited and I realize I'm always excited. I need another word than excited. I'm overjoyed. I'm ecstatic. I don't know, I'm really fucking excited because today I am doing a collab with my good friend Georgia Harris here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys all about products that I've bought because of YouTube. Some of these products are specific things that were like very hyped and I fell for the hype. Other things came from like one influencer specifically recommending them to me, but we'll get into that. Before I talk about myself for a second, I want to bring Georgia on here so she can talk about herself because I think she's wonderful and amazing, and here she is.
Hi there, I'm Georgia Harris. I talk about beauty, lifestyle, and other random things on my channel. Hope you consider come checking me out after Lacey's video. Thank you so much, Lacey, for wanting to collaborate with me. This was her idea, and I like this idea because normally I don't think to make these types of videos. Anyway, thanks so much for collabing with me, Lacey.
Thank you again so much, Georgia, for collabing with me. Stoked, excited, overwhelmed, overjoyed. Yay. So like I said, this is going to be my YouTube made me buy it video. And at first when we were thinking about how to do this collab or like what to do for our collab and we brought up the idea of YouTube made me buy it, I was like, I've bought everything because of YouTube. This whole video could just be me walking you guys my makeup collection being like, and this was hyped about, and this was hyped about. But really when I think about it, there are specific products that were really popular and really talked about. There are other things, like I said, very specific people recommended them to me and because of who they were or how they described it, I was more likely to buy it. I also tried very hard to not pick things that were like standard YouTube beauty community checklists, which would be to me like Tarte Shape Tape, Naked Palettes, the Modern Renaissance palette, the Mary Luminizer highlighter from the Balm. Like to me those are like everyone has those because of YouTube. I was trying to think of like outside the box things that I really wouldn't either know how to use or wouldn't even care about if it wasn't for the YouTube beauty community. So without rambling on too much more, let's get into it. I basically learned how to do makeup because of YouTube, and I feel like that's very common now, and a lot of times people will stop me and be like, and I swear I'm not trying to brag, but people will stop me and be like, oh my god, are you a makeup artist? And I'm like, no, I just spend 23 out of 24 hours a day watching YouTube videos. Like, and that's really how it is. So much of like my techniques and my inspiration really truly has come from YouTube. I was a raccoon-eyed queen before I really started experimenting with makeup and getting into YouTube. So, gosh, have I come a long way. One of the first things I thought about when it came to like products I know how to use because of its popularity on YouTube, I think of loose setting powder. I've always known about pressed setting powder, and I've been setting my face powder since the days of like Maybelline Goopy Mousse Foundation high school days. But loose powder I never got into until YouTube and the trend of baking. And really, like, Coty Airspun was, like, it. And unfortunately, it's not cruelty-free, and I do love this powder a lot, but I'm not going to be buying it again once I get through this humongous container of it, and once I get through my backup container of it, because I told you guys in a different video that I was going to try to clear out my backup drawer this year. But yeah, Coty Airspun for sure is, like, a YouTube staple, a YouTube classic. Patrick Starr, I think, is especially known for baking the shit out of his face with Coty Airspun. I bought it because of YouTube. This next one, I could have probably thrown in with my whole, like, YouTube checklist, but Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer is, to me, the best bronzer ever. It's one of the only bronzers that works very well for my skin tone, and I know they just extended the line, so now there's even deeper shades, because I think, like, the claim to fame for Butter Bronzer was that it was kind of, like, pale person friendly. It's also not too orange. It has one of the best consistencies for a powder ever. I don't know if you guys can see, but I've done like a lot of damage on this bronzer. I'm very shocked I haven't hit pan yet because I use this almost daily if I'm not using my Kat Von D contour palette. But it's just such a nice formula. It smells like coconut, which either pisses you off or you enjoy, and I personally enjoy it. Equally, the butter blushes that came out like in the last year or two are so good as well. So that whole line, I feel like, is very YouTube famous, but for good reason, because the quality of the powders and how they apply, they're very smooth and easy and sheer enough. That fine line between like too sheer and then too pigmented and you look crazy when you do your your bronzer and contour. This is like a good medium between the two, and it's just, it deserves all the hype if you can find a shade that works for you. Physician Formula in general has a very shitty shade range for literally everything they put out, but if you can find a shade that works for you, I use like the light one. Most people prefer the classic bronzer. It's very good. I have a huge pile and I'm just grabbing from it, so there's no like order of like makeup or anything like that. So this next thing is like a category, kind of like the powder was. I would not give a shit about setting spray if it wasn't for YouTube. And specifically, I have like, there's no like favorite setting spray for me. I feel like most setting sprays accomplish the same thing, and mostly what I want is to diffuse powders when I apply setting spray. I don't really care about, like, I care about longevity, but I feel like I said, all setting sprays do the same thing to me. I don't know. If you think I'm wrong and you have a holy grail setting spray, please tell me about it. This is just the Makeup Revolution oil controlling one, which I personally really enjoy because of the mister. But specifically, because of YouTube, I can't just set my face nicely. I have to drench myself and then grab a palette and fan the ever-living shit out of myself so it dries quick, because Nikkie Tutorials taught me to do that. And I feel like that's what makes the difference. Not so much the setting spray, but if I quickly dry it or not. And also, one of my favorite things in the world is to go crazy with the setting spray, wait for it to mostly dry, put on a shit ton more highlighter, and then fully like hit it again and then dry it completely. Because then you look like Nikkie Tutorials pheromone level crazy like I like. Speaking of highlighters, and I'm very aware that this packaging isn't pleasing with the light, so I'm going to try to get through it quickly. This is a highlighter palette that I feel like I never would have heard about or cared about if it wasn't for YouTube. Obviously, I mean, I should stop saying that because all of these products are things I wouldn't have known or cared about without YouTube. This is the Sleek Solstice highlighting palette. It has like two big shades and then a normal shade and a cream shade. I never touched the cream shade, but I combine all these powder ones together, and this is one of the most affordable blinding highlights in the world, which on YouTube, blinding is the only thing that was acceptable for a hot second. We've only recently delved into the territory of natural highlighters. But this one I feel like a lot of people talked about, but it was Shannon Shortcake, who I love a lot, who was one of my first YouTubers that I really loved, who her recommendation was the one that was like, I need to get this. And I saw it in Ulta one day and I was like, there it is. It's mine. And I really love this. Like I said, it's so super affordable, and it really, because it's a baked formula, it's a lot. Totally jumping around in order. But my favorite primer is probably the most hyped about primer, and it's the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. And really, I know there's a lot of debate on whether or not primer does anything, but I really truly can notice a difference if I don't use a primer and if I use a primer different from this one. This is very silicone feeling, but I do think it creates a smooth canvas, and I don't know, again, am I crazy? But I feel like this extends the longevity of my makeup. I feel like especially once I start to get oily, my makeup doesn't break down nearly as harshly or as fast if I'm wearing this. But I will say, like, the $6 e.l.f. mineral primer is a pretty good dupe for this if you don't want to shell out almost 40 bucks. Plus this is like the crazy, this is like the value size, like extra large one I got, but like this has been lasting me a long time because I really use like a very small amount of this daily. So if you did take the time to invest in a bottle of this shit, it probably would last you a hot second as long as you're not like coating your entire face in this. But I like this primer. I only ever cared about it because so many people talked about it though. Something else that I wouldn't have known about, cared about, or known how to do if it wasn't for YouTube is color correcting. Another kind of debatable thing, because a lot of people feel like if you have a good enough foundation or concealer, you shouldn't need to color correct. Other people think it just makes applying foundation easier. I kind of go both ways. It depends on the foundation I'm using if I want to color correct or not. These specific color correctors, the LA Girl Pro concealers in all the different colors, I feel like are very hyped about on YouTube, and they're like a couple bucks each. My favorite one that I do use almost daily though is Lavender Corrector. I mix this in with my under eye concealer to brighten it, which is a tip that I learned from the Tayla, because I am so fair that most extremely fair concealers don't do shit and don't highlight the way that they're supposed to under the eyes. And I also, because I have glasses, I like to highlight extra, so my eyes like really pop underneath my glasses. So adding a little bit of this, I do know they make a white one, but for some reason I like this lavender one better, I think because it cancels out colors that are too yellow. So this color corrector specifically, but color correcting in general, I feel like is a YouTube thing. I don't know. Or it was. Not a lot of people do it anymore that I feel like, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to save eyeshadow palettes for the end because they're my favorite thing and I get real hyped about them. But for now, we're going to talk about highlighters for a second. Highlighting in general, again, wasn't a thing when I was growing up, wasn't a thing when I learned how to do makeup. It was the trend to end all trends on YouTube. And there have been so many highlighters that have entered my life because of YouTube. And I feel like highlighting started as like a thing that only really worked for medium skin tones. Not like highlighting in general, but most popular highlighters only worked for medium skin tones. Now we're starting to get a lot more options when it comes to the fair side of the spectrum and the deep side of the spectrum. Like, I feel like brands are starting to cover us all. One brand in particular that I would not have bought if it wasn't for YouTube is Becca highlighters. And I feel like because these are very expensive to me. To me, these are approaching luxury border. You might not agree with me, but I just feel like there's a lot of cheaper options in the world. So these are like special to me. These are so fancy that like I rarely buy Becca highlighters for myself. My boyfriend tends to buy them for me for like anniversaries and birthdays and stuff because he knows I love them, but I don't like to buy them. Like, I don't like to spend the money for them. They're really nice, actually. At first when you see these, you're like, I don't get it. They're kind of powdery. They don't really have the kind of crazy textures that a lot of other highlighters do. They're not overly creamy. They don't have that baked chalet kind of feeling or texture. These are just nice though. They blend into the skin well. They're not overly shimmery or sparkly. There's so many options with Becca's line, especially now. There's the shade to cover everybody. The two that I have are Pearl, which is like the white one, which really I love because I can mix this with any other highlighter that might be too dark for me. And then Moonstone, which was one of my personal first like fair friendly gold highlighters. I would not care about these. I would not have ever looked at these. I probably would have stayed away from this section of Ulta/Sephora if it wasn't for YouTube because the packaging is like nice. I like it, but it's not like it's not intriguing. It's not like calling to me. It kind of just, I don't know, I might have passed this off as like an old lady brand if I didn't hear the hype about it from YouTube. I don't know if that makes sense. I haven't tried really a lot of other Becca products besides their Shimmer and Skin Perfectors, but they're really nice. Now I own a shit ton of them. Especially love the limited edition ones, even though they're not really limited edition. I just think they're coming out with so many creative new ones, and I really like them but hate the price. Equally hyped, in my opinion, are the ABH highlighter palettes, which I kind of had no interest in until they released Moonchild, which I loved, and then Aurora. But the first like wearable neutrals ABH palette that I ever got was the Nicole Guerrero one, which I had no interest in buying when it first came out. My palette's a little dirty, but seeing so many reviews for this, I think I got it on one of the very last restocks of it. And I don't regret it. This is so beautiful. It's very different than the Becca formula because these do feel wet to the touch. They do have a little bit of glimmer in them. They do kind of have that melted wet look when you hit them with setting spray. Something that I forget which influencer pointed out was that this Forever Lit white shade you can mix in with any other shade if you're fair like me, and you can get all kinds of colors equally. If you're deeper than me, you can mix this 143 color in with any of these because this really is, I feel like, best suited for a medium skin tone. But I love this. This is so pretty. I love mixing all the colors together. I know that a lot of people wish that they would bring this back, and I agree because this is really nice. I have this one, like I said, the colorful ones, and then the sugar one also that I really like. But Nicole Guerrero, I'm not a fan of hers. I just don't really know who she is, to be perfectly honest. Wouldn't have bought this if it wasn't for the hype. I'm going to kind of put these next two things together because they were both mostly bought for the same reason. Anytime I ever saw like a vanity tour or a beauty room tour on YouTube, which I love, I would always see these like cute little Too Faced heart-shaped blushes and I'd be like, holy shit, I want them. First I have the Perfect Flesh blushes, which are the ones in like the cardboard packaging, which are really nice. They're the ones that are like striped and baked. Super nice though because they're not overly shimmery. But more specifically that stands out to me are the Love Flesh blushes, which is actually probably if not one of my favorites, my absolute favorite blush formula. These ones I feel like I have a specific memory to because I remember like a couple years ago, Drac Makins talking about how she was in the store with her boyfriend and she was talking about how she wanted these and she couldn't afford them, and her boyfriend was like, get them, I'll buy them for you, and her being like so happy and gushing over that moment and how cute that was. And I was like, Drac Makins likes those blushes, I want those blushes. And I don't regret anything. These are, to me, one of the best things Too Faced has in their entire collection of products. They do face products extremely well to me. These are no exception. I own every single color. I did buy them on sale though, so cut me some slack. Totally piggybacking off of that though, the Makeup Revolution Blushing Hearts Triple Baked Highlighters, and they have blushes too, but they're all pretty much like highlighters, are the total knockoffs of the Too Faced ones. But I bought them because of the Tayla. Specifically, the Tayla is one of those people who, anytime she recommends anything, there's a very, very high chance that I'm going to want it. You know, she's one of those people that I relate to, and her word to me is like godly. She recommended this Blushing Hearts Triple Baked Highlighter in Goddess of Faith because she said that it was very pale princess friendly, and I totally agree. This blush kind of looks like nothing, this highlighter kind of looks like nothing exciting in the pan, but it's one of those baked formulas that I love. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it's just super blinding. It's a really beautiful highlighter. There's a couple other highlighters I feel like I grabbed because of the Tayla. The Physicians Formula Shimmer Strips are ones that I can think of. The JCat Glow Rosy Highlighter, Bella Rose Highlighter is another one that she talks about a lot. But these are just like, again, I don't know if you guys can see, but these are just very pale friendly. These are very blinding because it's baked. It's kind of one of those like wowza highlighters when you put it on. And those are the kinds I like. So this is specifically tied to a person. The Tayla made me buy it. I want to like finish with my palettes like I said. So I'm going to talk about lip products for a second. In general, liquid lipsticks were not a thing when I first got into makeup. YouTube definitely got me into liquid lipsticks, and now I love liquid lipsticks. I have said before, I don't like traditional like bullet stick lipsticks. I love liquid lipsticks. I have too big of a collection to ever talk about. But when I think of a formula that I bought because of the hype on YouTube, ColourPop Ultra Satin Lips. Everybody I feel like is in love with these, and these are for sure my hands down favorite liquid lip formula ever. They do not dry down flat matte. They dry satin. Satin, does that translate on camera? They never fully dry. They don't feel sticky though. They just feel kind of like a not fully matte satin lip. These are so comfortable. These are my favorite put it on, get out the door fast lipsticks. I have almost every color, but I feel like they're so affordable, and so often, especially now lately, ColourPop will do like buy 2 liquid lipsticks, get 1 free. During one of those like buy X, get Y free sales, I stocked up, and I don't regret it at all. I recommend this formula to everybody. It's so nice. I feel like the people who really set me off on wanting these was Ellen K from Dupe That. They're mostly on Instagram, but they do have a YouTube channel, and they were talking about how this was their favorite formula. And to me, they're people who try so much stuff given the kind of creators that they are. I was like, yeah, I trust that, and I don't regret these. I picked 3 colors. They're like kind of, when I think of like what my favorites are, I have a lot of favorites, but Little Stitches I love, Aquarius, which is a classic, and Tansy, which is actually my all-time favorite Ultra Satin lip because it's like the perfect 90s grungy poop brown. These are so nice, so affordable, better than any other lip formula ever in the world, ever, in my opinion. The only problem is they tend to have nudes, browns, not even that many browns, and like reds. They don't have a lot of like interesting, unique colors. I think I have like a couple grays, maybe a purple, but it really is like very wearable, everyday colors. There's not a lot of like fun, which is the only thing that sucks about them. One last quickie lip product, the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. To me, I was like, how can any one gloss be better than any other gloss? I go through phases where I really like lip glosses, and then mostly I just like liquid lipsticks. I love this gloss though. It lives up to all of its hype. It is a very beautiful universal shade. I've never seen this look bad on anyone. It's just kind of like a nice rosy tone, but it's just sheer enough that your own lips can peek through. This is the perfect, like, again, you hear me talk about this a lot, but like get out the door quickly kind of product. Whereas you've done everything else, if you're like running late, this will go with every look you've ever put together. It's just nice. It's not overly sticky. It feels like a luxury lip gloss. It doesn't have like great lasting power or anything because it is lip gloss. It's not going to last through like meals or anything. But it's just pretty and it's nice. It's nice to layer over lipsticks. But I had to throw this in there because I really would not have bought this if it wasn't for like everyone on YouTube being like, oh my god, the Gloss Bomb. I don't know. Okay, we're going to move on to eyeshadow palettes. And I said it before, but eyeshadow is my everything. It's my favorite. It's what I love the most when it comes to all makeup. I have so many eyeshadow palettes. So much has been bought because of YouTube recommendations, but I picked out a couple things specifically that I either would not have touched if it wasn't for YouTube, or I wouldn't have known about ever if it wasn't for YouTube. And some of these I feel like maybe you might not even have heard of yourself. Getting this one out of the way, and I feel like my white balance might have gotten screwed up right now, but the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. First of all, Morphe in general, would not have cared about, would not have known about, would not have cared about if it wasn't for YouTube and the affiliate code debacle. Specifically, it was Raw Beauty Christie's review of this that made me want it because she is someone that I really trust and who I admire like aesthetically and talent-wise and as a creator. And her raving about this, I even like taped the names up the same way that she did, made me want this. And I hate to admit it, this is a really nice palette. This is a really good bang for your buck. For me, I know like not everyone travels a lot, but I went to a conference last year and finding eyeshadow palettes to bring with me was kind of a struggle. Had I had this at the time, I would have just brought this and had the professional colors I needed to do the conference and then had like the fun colors to go out with my friends afterwards. This is nice. Again, it has really nothing to do with Jaclyn Hill. I'm, again, like Nicole Guerrero, I'm not a fan of hers. I'm just not really into her. I don't subscribe to her. So her name did not make me buy this. It was Raw Beauty Christie who made me want this and buy this. I am mad that like it has nicer packaging now and all that crap because I tried to buy this like 2 different restocks and wasn't able to get it, and then finally I got it and now it's this nasty white gross packaging. But I don't know if you guys can see on camera, this palette is dirty. I've gone in on this palette. Obviously some of the colors are a little repetitive and this is mostly a neutrals palette. Minus like this corner of the palette is a little boring, but it gets the job done. It's a very good like, I don't know what to do with my eye look, I'm just going to grab a palette and figure it out kind of palette. It's nice. I like it. It's not the most wild palette, but I like it. Grabbing another boring kind of palette to talk about that I would not have bought and had no interest in buying until a review. This is the Violet Voss Nicole Concealio palette. I see a theme of like a lot of collabs I would not have cared about if it wasn't for YouTube. But this palette, I'm going to open it so the packaging can stop blinding you. This is a boring ass neutrals palette. Let's just call it what it is. However, hearing Mariah Leonard describe this palette, and it might just be the way that she explains things because she's so the way she talks about products and the way she like speaks in general always just pulls me in and intrigues me. But anyway, she described this palette as being extremely warm, even the colors that don't seem warm. So like the greens, the blues, the yellows are all so warm that to me this almost makes it like a neutrals palette amped up a notch, which is why this is actually my go-to favorite neutrals palette. If I know I need to do a more toned down look, this is the palette that I will hands down grab for. When I first bought it, I was working for the State Park Service and I was grabbing this almost every single day. Even when I do neutral looks, I like to do neutral looks that are bumped up and amped up a notch. This delivers for me. Plus, I love Violet Voss's formula. So, again, you cover up like this section. It's just a boring ass palette. But I love this a lot, honestly and truthfully. If all of my other neutrals palettes disappeared, this is the one that I would want to keep. I feel like this is a very famous palette at this point. But the Colored Rain Queen of Hearts palettes, I even have it in its like nice sleeve, and I don't keep packaging for palettes normally. This was so hard for me to get, and I'm so glad I have it, and the hype is real and the hype is deserved. I'm so happy they made this a permanent palette. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but I've gone into this palette. Again, it's kind of a little neutral, but the purples and the oranges really kick it up a notch. Like I said, for every other palette, I need better descriptive words. Everyone was talking about this palette. For me, it was Stephanie Nicole, who is another person where what she says, I'm like, yes, yes, I will buy that. Her talking about this really made me want it because I was kind of like overhyped. It's too hard to get. It's not worth it. And then I finally like caved and like bought it on a pre-order, and like 3 months later I had it. This is one of the better, if not best, eyeshadow formulas I've ever gotten my hands on. I'm just kind of bummed out because every other palette that Coloured Raine has come out with since this hasn't really intrigued me that much. The Cheers to Beauty one was really a letdown. Personally for me, it looks pretty, but it's not what I was hoping for. Little mini ones look nice, but I just feel like they're a little overpriced for what they are. So this formula is incredible, and like I said, the hype is real. For me, they don't have a lot of other things that kind of call to me, so I'm waiting. I'm not, like we've figured out, I'm not a single eyeshadows person. So I'm waiting to see what they come up with in the future because this formula is incredible and pigmented, and it was designed for people of color, so it is more pow and impactful and pigmented, like I said. So if you're not into that, if you like a more buildable, not blendable, but a more buildable shadow, these might not be for you, but I like pigment. I like to put my brush down and have the color there when I pick the brush back up. These are gorgeous. These are perfect. This next brand is a brand that I was hesitant to buy because of their prices, but two people specifically made me want these. It's Lunatic Labs Cosmetics, and it was Kimberly Clark and Graveyard Girl's reviews of these products that made me really want these products, and I'm very glad that I took the plunge and got them. This is just one of their Coffin eyeshadow palettes, but they're really cool looking. I don't mean to blind you guys with a mirror, but they're just aesthetically very pleasing. Have some really fun, interesting colors too, and this is a really great formula. I think the thing they're most known for though is their contour books. They take a very almost theatrical approach to contouring because in their contour palettes you get like nice brown shades and shades they can use as blushes, but you also get literal true grays, because what color would a real shadow be on your face? It would be gray. So these are more on the pro side in my mind, but this is such a nice formula. It is very pricey. If that intimidates you, wait for a sale. They do sales often. They also released a second volume of this to suit deeper skin tones, which is very awesome. These are incredibly nice though. You can buy refills for it. Unlike the others, I had known about these before YouTube. I just didn't know if they were going to be worth it before YouTube, and they totally are, and I really love this brand. I think for a small indie brand, they're really incredible, and they make very high quality, incredible products. Plus, spooky packaging. Hell yeah. This video is so long, I apologize, we're almost done. These palettes are actually the first thing I thought of when I thought of things that YouTube made me buy, or YouTubers made me buy. These are the Senna Cosmetics Decades palettes. I think it was like 2 years ago, Vintage or Tacky Cora, she talked about these palettes in like alternatives to buying holiday limited edition makeup, and I wanted these so bad when I saw her hold these and describe these. I couldn't afford them. They were very expensive. And finally I had the money to get them one day, and I got them, and I'm so happy. These are super interesting palettes. So I had never even heard of Senna Cosmetics before, to be perfectly real. It is a makeup artist who created a brand, and they make very pro kind of things, but this is something I feel like I don't get why more people didn't know about or care about. The Decades palettes, so they had been a company for like 40 years, and they made a palette representing each decade. So I'm holding up the 70s one, which is my personal favorite. You get like a contour color, a blush color, so you have some eyeshadows that are themed for that decade, but you have the 70s, which is, like I said, my favorite. The 80s though is a close second, because the 80s, this does not just scream Cyndi Lauper when you open it. These are so nice, and one of the ways that it was sold to me was Cora was basically saying that these are incredible texture, and they're incredibly like smooth and easy to work with, and I totally agree. I believe you can still get 3 out of 4 of these. I don't think you can get this 90s like neutrals one anymore. I think you can still get 2000s, 80s, and 70s. These are super nice. They're one of like my favorite things that I own. These feel so luxury to me. They're not like so luxury price wise. They are a little jarring, the prices, I'm not gonna lie, but especially like this palette is so pigmented. It's so nice to be able to use powders for different functions, because they can be used as bronzers, contours, blushes, eyeshadows. They're so pigmented, excuse you phone, They're just like, I could gush over these, honestly. They're my absolute favorite YouTube made me buy it products, and I hardly ever talk about them, and no one really ever talks about them, and it's a shame because these are really cool concept-wise, and they're just great products. They're great quality, and nothing since has really sparked my interest from Senna Cosmetics, personally, no offense. They need to bring this back complete in a collection because I bought them in a bundle. They need to bring that bundle back because that was a mouthful. These are so spectacular and so high quality and so treat yourself worthy. And then my final little bonus item is the Kat Von D lip liner, everlasting lip liner Vault. You get a lot of lip liners in this, and this is hella expensive. As you can see though, they have all the kinds of colors that I love to wear. I don't really own any lip liners besides these. I was not a lip liner person before I got these. Not that I wasn't a lip liner person, but I just felt like I didn't wear colors that were expressed in commonly accessible lip liners. So I saw this Vault. It was very expensive, over $200, and then the price kept dropping and dropping because I guess nobody was shelling out that $200 for it. And then it went on sale for $140 during the time when Sephora had that coupon for clearance items. And at that same time, I had just seen Georgia's review of these lip liners. So Georgia, you are the reason why I bought these lip liners, and I love them. I keep them in this packaging. I feel like I got such a good deal on these because I did buy them when that coupon was happening. They're super nice. I feel like if you don't have a lot of lip liners and you're like me and you wear those unusual colors, this is a gorgeous formula. You can almost use these on their own as lipsticks. It's just nice to have a blue lip liner, a purple lip liner, a green lip liner to help guide your lips. Georgia, thank you. I wouldn't have bought these if it wasn't for your recommendation. Poof, we did it. That was everything. That was my YouTube made me buy it video. What are some things that you feel like, if not for YouTube, you wouldn't have bought it? Let me know down below. Did you buy any things that I mentioned because of YouTube? Or has anything that I ever talked about made you curious? That would be interesting to know. But yeah, what are your YouTube made me buys? I really want to know. Thank you again so much, Georgia, for collabing with me. I loved this video. I loved this. You're one of my best friends on YouTube. I'm so happy that we could collab like this. And thank you guys, because I'm getting very close actually to 500 subscribers, and I'm fucking stoked. I didn't think that would happen this soon. So thank you guys, all the new people especially, for finding me. I know that it has been, uploading this, it's going to be I think like 10 or 11 days since my last video, and I thank you guys for sticking with me. It was the year anniversary of my grandmother's passing, and I kind of just needed to take time to myself because it was a very traumatic, difficult thing, and having the anniversary come up, I was feeling a lot of things, and I just needed to get through it. But I feel good now. I'm excited to film more this weekend. And yeah, just thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you, Georgia. I love you guys, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.